Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
It's time for the big giveaway. Halloween has come. All you lucky kids with silver shamrock masks, gather round, put on your masks.
You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to the
Travel Oddities
Podcast. And welcome to the Travel Oddities Podcast. Can I just tell you how much I love that intro?
The new Halloween intro? Yes. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween, by the way. I'm Brett Manzer.
And I'm Harley Covington.
And tonight we are going to delve into the legend of Sleepy Hollow. But first,
there's something very important I forgot to tell you.
News.
So, all right, Dateline, Milford, Connecticut. A Connecticut school district is banning Halloween in an effort to be more inclusive.
What the actual F?
Yeah, I know. I don't know who they're trying to be inclusive of. I don't know who Halloween is excluding. Yeah.
Is there a sense... everything... Oh, God, we're going to all just have to go to sensitivity training, evidently. I don't see how this is... What's not inclusive about candy and razor blades and apples?
Diabetes.
And diabetes.
You know, the thing I don't get is you can buy a mask for any subject.
Yes.
I could be Donald Trump.
I could be a horse.
Very popular this year, a horse.
Yes.
I could be a Muslim.
I could be a cock. By that I mean the proper nomenclature for a chicken.
Right.
Would be a cock.
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo. Name it. What's
Zeus.
not in... I could be ISIS.
Right.
What's not inclusive?
We've included everybody. I don't know. I honestly don't know who that would exclude. But the school is discontinuing the popular costume parade, banning students and staff from wearing costumes on the day and rebranding October 31st to be, air quotes, fall-themed.
It goes with the Christmas thing. And I understand both sides of wanting to be, you know, there are religions that don't celebrate Christmas. There are religions that celebrate a different type of holiday in that area. Halloween, to me, this is the first for me. I've never heard that Halloween has been something that's non-inclusive or it's offensive. What? I mean, at the very root of Halloween, maybe. Like the origin of Halloween?
Creepy.
Right. Yes.
I still don't think that that's exclusive, though. I don't
either.
That, you know, the veil between this side and that side is thin on this evening. I mean, if you die and there's a ghost, I don't think there's a racial component to that.
I don't either. And it's like, I go to the Christmas thing again because it's the one thing I think we're both more familiar with, having kids in school, where Christmas parties, depending on where you live, aren't called Christmas parties anymore. It's the winter festival or the snow god.
I don't think it's the snow god.
The snow god
but
worship.
I get what you're talking about. It's the winter festival, or it's the holiday spectacular.
Right.
It is not the Christmas special, which I live in a small community, so we still have Christmas. They hadn't got to us yet.
Anyway, so what does the community say? I mean, surely they've said...
Sure. Got a quote from a local. She said, I don't understand why other avenues weren't pursued to accommodate any families or children who felt excluded. She thinks it's crazy, and that the only people being excluded are the people who are excluding themselves.
Now, again, recently here we've overturned Columbus Day in favor of Indigenous Day.
No, it's back. It's Columbus Day again.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, they booted your people.
They booted my people? How typical.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So it's back now?
It's back. It's Columbus Day again.
What happened?
I don't know.
Did they shoot craps over this? Well, sorry.
There was something about some blankets that were given to the opposing side, and then
a smallpox prank, and it's like
I think it's the worst prank in history.
I think if like Columbus showed up, the best thing they could have done is like have Ashton Kutcher come out and go, "I'm just kidding. You just got punked." But anyway, okay. So there are still states that have overturned Columbus Day in favor of Indigenous Day. Is this to you? Let me get your opinion on this. We won't try to linger too long on this subject, but it's very compelling. To you, is it a sign of the times? Are we going to see more? Do we need to worry about this thing catching fire and becoming a nationwide thing, or is this just going to be? Is there a trickle down effect here, or what?
I think it's a one-off. It's just one of those absurdities. My personal opinion, it seems society's getting having more and more of an issue with this. My son went to a birthday party just here recently. Hi,
Yeah.
Connor. And we took a present to the kid, obviously.
Yeah.
But he had said something about why didn't he get a present? And my thought was, that's going to be a thing. That's going to be a thing where you can't have your own birthday because that's not fair to all the other kids.
Well, it's funny. Carrie, my wife, she went to a birthday party for a small child who has a brother, and the brother's like, "Where's my present?" So it's in there. We're talking a difference in 5 and 6, and your son's 9.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man. Leave it alone. It's Halloween. It's an institution. We're not. I think when they changed the philosophy of Halloween is enough, because again, if you're a Christian, you know that All Hallows Eve it's the time for wicked witches and devils and all the nastiness. But I don't know. Anyway, that's my stupid stoner dude. It's crazy, bro.
Well,
opinion,
the chief operations officer for Milford Schools said they have many children from diverse beliefs, cultures, and religion, and he says the goal is for all children to feel comfortable and definitely not alienated when they come to school.
Again, I don't my wife's an educator. Maybe I could run it by her and see what her thoughts and feelings are on it. I just think we've turned everything up to 11 in terms of sensitivity. I get being inclusive. I get diversity. I'm for gay marriage. I'm against winter festivals.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm all about Yuletide gay. Celebrating the Yuletide gay. There are a lot of things I don't believe, and but I still call things what they are because that's what I know them to be. And I'm not offended by that. I don't know. I just think it's an excuse. I think it's an excuse to be sensitive about something and go, well, while you're at it, I don't feel good about it. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, yeah, I think it probably boils down to, the kids whose parents aren't as good at making a costume,
right,
as the other kids.
Mm-hmm.
Went home and complained. The store-bought costume you bought me is not good enough. We need to hire a tailor and make me a custom suit because Billy's grandma did it for him.
Right.
And he was awesome, and I wasn't. Let's just cancel the whole thing.
Yeah, my Ninja Turtles costume, my shell looked like back fat. So
it was back fat, Billy.
The reason we chose Sleepy Hollow, New York for Halloween is it's the most elaborate and largest Halloween festivals in the world there. There's a lot to do. It's by the Hudson River. It's awesome. There's been a lot of movies made there. But mainly, it's creepy as hell. It was written by Washington Irving, who, you may or may not know this, his namesake was the first president of the United States, George Washington. Did you know that?
That George Washington was the first president of the United States? Yep.
Did you know that Washington Irving was named after him?
Yes. Did you know that Washington Irving met George Washington?
Did you know?
Are we having a research off?
We're not, because I'm going to lose the research off. But yeah, the story of Sleepy Hollow, it's not a very long story. It's only about 33, 35 pages long. And when you read it, it really feels more like you're reading a memoir. The story itself is based on, as a matter of fact, they changed the name to Sleepy Hollow
in like the 80s.
In the 80s, in light of
the history
of the story, yada yada yada. So, in terms of, yes, it's a creepy place because the story of Sleepy Hollow was based around this town of Tarrytown. It's near a town called Tarrytown. Sorry, but it more importantly, it's created like this. I don't know, an aura about it. So I'm going to read just you mind if I read just an excerpt from the story itself? An opening in the trees now cheered with the hopes that the church bridge was at hand. The wavering reflection of a silver star in the bosom of the brook told him that he was not mistaken. He saw the walls of the church dimly glaring under the trees beyond. He recollected the place where Brahm's Bones' ghostly competitor had disappeared. If I can't but reach the bridge, thought Ichabod, I am safe. Just then he heard the black steed panting and blowing close behind him. You like that little touch there? He even fancied that he felt his hot breath. Another convulsive kick in the ribs, and an old gunpowder sprang upon the bridge. Old gunpowder sprang upon the bridge. He thundered over the resounding planks. He gained the opposite side. And now Ichabod cast a look behind to see if his pursuer should vanish, according to rule, in a flash of fire and brimstone. Just then he saw the goblin rising in his stirrups, and in the very act of hurling his head at him. Ichabod endeavored to dodge the horrible missile, but too late. It encountered his cranium with a tremendous crash. He was tumbled headlong into the dust. And Gunpowder, the black steed, and the goblin rider passed like a whirlwind.
All right.
Hey, I'm no Shakespeare.
I don't think Shakespeare was a Shakespeare.
Well, it's a cool story. I read the story. Only the names have changed to protect the innocent. A lot of the names in the story are based on actual people. Locations, he talks about the origin of Tarrytown. He talks about the origin of Sleepy Hollow. Like I said, it reads a lot like a memoir in some spots, all while still telling this story of Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman. Now, that's the part that isn't a legend. It's a legend in the sense that it's about the town is the backdrop, I guess.
Right, and the reasoning or the way that I interpret it, he went there in his younger days, and the place scared the bejesus out of him, and inspired the story, and a lot of the elements of things that he heard while he was there, had an impact on the actual story. But there are other things in and around the general area that are heavily influenced by him. He's actually buried in a cemetery there. He had a lot of ancillary impacts. So like the idea of Santa Claus and the sleigh and all is actually from a satirical piece that Washington Irving did. So there's a lot of history in and around.
So he's done a lot in the way of ruining my childhood in terms of creating these myths about these spiritual people that bring me presents and headless horsemen that throw pumpkins at people.
As far as your childhood goes, he did add something that you would probably not know.
What?
The city of Gotham
is
a creation of Washington Irving.
Is that correct?
That is how he described New York City, as Gotham.
I had no idea.
Yes.
And that being not a huge comic book nerd, but being a Batman fan, I had no idea about that. But he heavily influenced the area. And there have been tons of movies that aren't just related to the legend of Sleepy Hollow. Now, the very first movie that was filmed there was entitled The Headless Horseman, which is based on the story by Washington Irving.
And to let people know, that was the very beginning of the movie industry.
Right.
You're talking silent film,
Silent film.
1920s. So it's had a lot of impact on Hollywood, so to speak.
Did you know that the character of Ichabod Crane in the Headless Horseman was portrayed by none other than Oklahoma's own Will Rogers?
I did not know that.
Yeah, well, you learned something today. Stick around. You might learn a little bit more, because if you're a fan of also the Dark Shadows series, which was a soap opera-like series based around vampires, in 1970, they filmed House of Dark Shadows, and then in 1971, Night of Dark Shadows. Not a huge fan of the Dark Shadows series. The only one I have seen. The irony or the connection between Sleepy Hollow, this is an interesting connection.
Okay.
Between Sleepy Hollow and Dark Shadows. Do you want to know what that is?
What?
Johnny Depp played Ichabod Crane in the 1999 version starring Christina Ricci.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 2013, he played a vampire in the movie version of Dark Shadows.
Right.
So there's your
The connection?
your Ichabod Crane, Sleepy Hollow connection. Now, there was a movie with Beau Bridges and James Mason, not to be confused with Chucky, but a movie called Child's Play in 1972. And then moving forward to about 1996, they also did a movie with Whitney Houston, which I think was one of her last film roles that she did before, later on in her life, was The Preacher's Wife with Denzel Washington is another one. Heck, The Thomas Crown Affair, 1999, was another movie starring Pierce Brosnan. Now, my favorite actor, in these movies that he's done here, he was still considered an A-list guy.
Pierce Brosnan?
No.
Okay.
Guess again.
Andy McDowell.
No, but close. Nicolas Cage. In 2000, he was in The Family Man. That was a Brett Ratner movie. Now, Brett Ratner, who owns the Rat Pack production company now,
Was born in Sleepy Hollow.
he was born in Sleepy Hollow. No,
Okay.
not really. But no, Brett Ratner owns Rat Pack Productions. He also did the Rush Hour movies,
Okay.
and he did Charlie's Angels.
Awesome. You know what this podcast needs?
What?
Because it's Halloween. It's our Halloween extravaganza.
Yeah.
We need some spooky music, some scary sounds.
Well, can we cue that up?
Let's cue it up.
How do we do it? Because nothing's scarier than talking about Nick Cage.
Yeah, Nick Cage is scary. Well, Nick Cage's career and bankruptcy issues.
And his spooky hairpiece. But yeah, The Family Man in 2000, and also Lord of War. That was a really good movie. I don't know if you ever saw that movie. It had Nick Cage and Jared Leto, and I'm going blank. He was in
Kevin Bacon.
Gattaca.
Kevin Bacon.
You would think no, but he was in Gattaca.
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke.
Okay. Movies are your thing, just so you know.
They're kind of my thing.
Okay.
And The Good Shepherd, another great movie with De Niro and Matt Damon and Angelina Jolie in 2006. So it's been a place of
You forgot
interest.
one.
What?
You forgot the best movie that came out of Sleepy Hollow. Super Troopers. Listen here, meow.
Listen here, meow. What? Yeah, I forgot. It's not listed. I'm sorry. It wasn't listed as one of the top tier. They are making a sequel to
Yes,
Super Troopers.
Super Troopers 2 is
Yeah.
in production.
In production. So, anyway, tons of movies have been filmed there. It's just an overall great place to be. But for my dollar, I'm all about the hauntings. Paranormal investigators have visited throughout history. The haunted city of New York rests upon the eastern side of the famous Hudson River. Everything to me, I'm scared of running water. Does that mean that I'm a werewolf?
It's possible.
You've been with me in running water.
Yes, and you are scared of it.
I'm scared of running water. So if it's close to the Hudson River, surely it's scary. So several hauntings that surround places, people, and events in the history of the town that seem to be preserved in its original state, because you mentioned earlier, a lot of the architecture has either been maintained or remains relatively untouched.
Right.
So, if it was creepy then, it's creepy now.
Creepier.
One place in particular that they talk about is the Sparta Cemetery. And now, it's not directly in Sleepy Hollow. You heard me talk earlier a little bit about Tarrytown. If you travel, there's a really popular route called Route 9, I guess. You'll run right into the burial ground. Why call it a burial ground? That just adds...
Burial ground is a scarier phrase than cemetery.
Okay, so poltergeist. If they said, yeah, your house is built on a cemetery. Okay.
It's terrifying.
But when they told them, yeah, your house is built on an Indian burial ground.
Yeah, I'm moving.
It heightens the fear factor just so ever so slightly. Now, visitors that have passed by the cemetery have claimed many unusual sightings. These sightings include mists, which aren't uncommon when we're talking about hauntings.
Or weather.
Unexplainable weather, because that's a mystery to everybody. Completely unexplainable, as well as the lights that seem to dance along the ground and float over the graves.
That is definitely not a normal occurrence.
Not people with walking through dark places with flashlights is not normal. Those who have stopped for further investigation have discovered the sounds of voices from which there is no origin in sight.
Again, we could go and debunk this all we wanted, but it's creepy.
It is creepy.
I'm sorry, but you go to Sleepy Hollow and you go to the burial ground. I'm there to be scared. I don't want to see the guy behind the curtains. I want to be scared out of my wits.
Now, one of the more famous sightings are apparitions that appear to be doing various tasks. More notably would be Washington Irving himself being seen wandering about the cemetery. Now, he is buried I believe he's buried in the Sparta Cemetery. I could be wrong.
No, you are wrong. He's buried in the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery.
Oh, okay.
Now, at the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, you can visit Washington Irving's grave, but you can also visit the grave of Andrew Carnegie, William Rockefeller, and some other people of historical note.
Other people
less
that
famous.
are involved in the
Illuminati.
Illuminati.
Yeah, or the Masons.
Or the Masons, or the, that. What is that secret society that the Pope is supposed to be involved with? The Rockefellers.
The Pentaveret.
The Pentaveret. Now, I've seen a picture on the internet recently that somebody posted of the Pope kissing the hand of
Colonel Sanders?
No, William Rockefeller.
Okay.
Why would the Pope do that?
If it's on the internet, it's got to be real.
But why would the Pope?
The Pope
kiss
doesn't
the
believe
hand
in Photoshop.
Nothing about it has nothing. This has nothing to do with the Pentaveret.
So during Halloween or the Halloween season, the cemetery has frequent tours, and on those tours you'll hear a lot of scary stories.
Yes, one in particular.
The year is 1916. A little girl, 6 or 7, wanders into Sleepy Hollow Cemetery at night on a Halloween dare. She creeps along the tombstones and mausoleums until she is stopped by an unsettling sound. It is a woman crying softly, bitterly. Frightened, yet determined, the girl makes her way toward the sound like an idiot and arrives at the statue of a seated woman, twice life-size. But really, what is life-size? Is it 6 foot or is it 5 foot? So that makes her 10 foot or 12 foot. The weeping has stopped, but when the girl climbs into the statue's lap, well, I don't know how she does that if she's twice the size, and reaches up to touch the face, there are tears under her eyes.
Okay, so that's definitely a true story, I believe.
Sounds like it.
I mean, it doesn't sound made up. Or
If it's said in a creepy voice with emphasis on particular details, then it's true.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Twice life size.
Now, the statue does exist, and little girls between the ages of 6 and 7 do inhabit the town, the village of Sleepy Hollow. So all of the makings for that story exist.
Do you have a 6 or 7 year old in your house, right?
Correct. Hello, Madeline.
So
If you're 6 or 7, beware.
Of giant statues.
But on the midnight of your 8th birthday.
well, there's also the old Dutch church and burial ground. Stop with the burial ground. Just stop. The burial grounds that are located at the old Dutch church are said to be among some of the oldest ones. Let me start that over. The burial grounds that are located at the old Dutch church are said to be among one of the oldest ones in all the United States. Wowee. It's said that the popular Headless Horseman can clearly be seen making his route through and around these burial grounds. Now, let's stop there
Okay.
for a second.
So the Headless Horseman. The story of the Headless Horseman, which we didn't actually cover.
We didn't cover.
There is a headless person buried in this burial ground.
Okay.
He is a Hessian soldier, or, a Hessian mercenary that was decapitated in a conflict during the Revolutionary War.
Right. Okay.
And his head is missing.
I bet when he gets in trouble, heads roll. Tune in. Okay.
So that's part of the story. Again, one of the things that Washington Irving heard while he was there.
He was inspired by that.
Exactly.
I've never met a Hessian.
You've never met a Hessian?
Now, if you're related to Anne Heche, are you a Haitian? So, Anne Hessian. Now, to be serious, Hessians are, in fact, Germans, right?
They are Germans. They're mercenaries.
The German mercenary had his head cut off in his body.
That got real muddy.
It did get it's not me body a little bit, yeah. I don't understand your American ways. Your Levi's and your Coca-Colas.
Now you went Russian with it. He's Hessian, which is German.
That's right. Not the Russian.
There's no vodka.
No vodka in the American women with rock and roll Elvis Presley. Yeah, hoochie coochie. Right? So, I don't understand. I do understand, but I don't understand. Ichabod Crane. What did he do? Was he a doctor or something?
He was a teacher.
A teacher.
In the story. Yeah.
In the story. What? And why did he get picked as the lucky one to be hunted down by the headless German?
Well, in the story, Washington Irving, his protagonist, which is Ichabod Crane, is kind of a jerk. So he's kind of the anti-hero. And then the villain is the Headless Horseman. But the protagonist of the story is Brom. And Brom's actually doesn't seem to be a bad guy. So there are some minor role reversals, but I'm going to say he got chosen because he's a dick.
I'm a fan of Brom because this time of year, the pumpkin spice ice cream.
Wrong Brom.
Oh, Brahms.
That's a local phenomenon, too. I'm not 100% sure that people listening here are listening and
If
say,
you've never had pumpkin ice cream, it's to die for. It's fabulous, is it not? Is it not? So, what can I gain from reading this story about the Sleepy Hollow Headless Horseman?
it's a great story, and it's a great part of
Americana.
American literature. So yeah, it's definitely a must read. But there's also 100 different theatrical versions of this, and they all have their merits.
Yeah, there's one. Well, and there's movies they've made. We've talked about movies a little bit. There's one that's called Ickeschlop's Cane, is a good one. The Headless Hard one, that's another good one.
I can see that your research took you down a different path than me.
Sleepy Whorehouse, that's another one. Just to name a few.
Right.
So, I like the story. It's a cool story. I mean, but I feel like a lot of the town's haunting phenomenon is based solely on this legend that's not really. I mean, hell, they changed the story. I mean, if you want to talk about a town that cashed in, I mean, I don't mean to be that way, because I'm not trying to be like that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But they kind of cashed in on this whole thing. They changed their name, dude.
Agreed. I mean, to a degree, but at the same time, you've got to think that as the head of the town council, you've got people coming and going, where's Sleepy Hollow at? And you're like, well, you're in it. Well, where's the actual place? No, like, this is the place. You got to get sick of saying that. So maybe they're just like in the 80s, they're like,
But if you're a New Yorker, or if you're in that area, aren't you glad that it's not somewhere like in the South? Sleepy Holler. Now, the headless, he's a headless Civil War reenactor. No, that's not the story. Sleepy Holler. Now, Ichabod Bobby Crane, or whatever, I don't know. But, yeah.
So we have one more location to cover.
Yeah.
Patriots Park is the not last haunted place in Sleepy Hollow.
More notable.
Right.
Yeah, if you go to the area, it's between the cities of Sleepy Holler.
Please stop that.
In Terrytown, you'll discover a park. You don't say. It's called Patriots Park, and you found a park.
Right.
Captain Obvious is also buried at Patriots Park. During the American Revolutionary War, the Americans captured a soldier that was of Hessian descent.
I think we talked about him.
We did talk about Hessians. He was immediately executed by way of beheading. Now, an apparition that lacks a head. Sorry. Oh, gosh. An apparition that lacks a head is often said to linger throughout the park grounds. Now, Irving took this legend of the soldier for his Headless Horseman character.
Right. Now, there are also several other haunted places in and around the area. So, again, if you're looking for a prevalence of haunted locations, this is a good place to go. There's definitely a lot to do there in that area. So, grab your EVP recorders and FLIR cameras and head on down, I guess.
In your
ectoplasm collecting buckets.
Your plasma cutters.
Yeah. Okay, so one thing that I would like to cover.
Okay, sure.
So I'm going to call this the Defense Against the Dark Arts section of the podcast.
Okay.
How do you defeat the Headless Horseman? How do you save yourself from the Headless Horseman? We're going to run into this a lot. Running water.
Running water, yes.
So Ichabod Crane actually crossed the bridge. You read that in the excerpt from the story. He ran across the bridge and would have been successful. And according to local legend in the story, crossing the river would save you from the Headless Horseman. He couldn't follow you.
Right.
Well, what Ichabod Crane failed to realize is that Ichabod Crane, or not Ichabod Crane, but the Headless Horseman, had a Mortal Kombat style finishing move and threw his head at him and, blew him up.
Now, is this in stories that I've seen? Some of the more famous would be when the Scooby-Doo gang encountered the Headless Horseman.
And it was Old Man Withers?
It was Old Man Withers, as it always is. Not Old Man Withers! He threw pumpkins.
Mm-hmm.
Like jack-o'-lanterns. Is this true in the story as well?
No.
Okay. He threw his actual head?
Well, his head was a glowing pumpkin. But he didn't have like a bag full of them.
It wasn't like...
throwing at the neighborhood kids.
Wasn't like a snowball fight?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Okay, so the town of Sleepy Hollow itself, we'll just get right into the town. Some of the background of the story, or the actual town and not the story.
Mm-hmm.
Sleepy Hollow, it's a village in the town of Mount Pleasant in Westchester County, New York, on the east bank of the Hudson. They have approximately 10,000 residents.
Wow, that's not bad.
It's small. I mean, very small, actually. But it's quaint. It's a quaint village environment, which we kind of hit on earlier. They kept to the architectural stylings of the time that the story was written. So you have a lot of that, a lot of the small, sleepy village vibe.
Yeah.
As an organized town, it dates back to the 1600s. Europeans discovered the area and settled their friends and relatives there. However, it was not until the Dutch arrived that it was given the original name. The settlers elected on the name of Sloppershaven.
Now, Sloppershaven, when I do Sloppershaven, I usually go with like a number one clip and then finish with a straight razor when I'm doing my Sloppershaven.
So the translation of the Dutch is Sleeper's Haven, which, I'm sorry, but all the people that moved into New England in this time frame were all creepy. Sleeper's Haven sounds scary to me.
Yeah.
Like, sleepers in that, it just has some underlying connotations that I'm not a fan of.
Well, in what I read, because I did a little research too, you're not the only guy that can do research, but the settlers that arrived after it already been kind of established noticed that the demeanor of the men during market days, they kind of just milled around. It was basically, they were kind of on siesta, just kind of chillaxing. Hence where they came up with the sleepers portion of that. They were just they noticed that everybody was just kind of, sleepy, being chill. So that's why they came up with.
To go a little bit further back, though.
Okay.
The Delaware tribe or the Mohican tribe are thought to have previously inhabited the area.
I have no doubt. That Daniel Day-Lewis inhabited the area. He was one of the last Mohicans.
So what about some things to do in the area?
I would say carve pumpkins.
That is a good thought that you had there. One of the things that they're well known for is their great jack-o'-lantern blaze. It is the country's biggest Halloween event.
Does that name not sound like something you could buy like in Colorado at a dispensary?
Does.
Man, let me get the jack-o'-lantern blaze, man. Go ahead.
It's pumpkin flavored, right? So it's got over 6,000 hand-carved illuminated pumpkins set against the mysterious backdrop of Van Cortlandt Manor's 18th century buildings and riverside landscape.
Wow.
So, again, something fun to do. That's probably good for you and the kids. There's no, I'm going to scare you to death kind of situation.
What about for a bunch of bros that just want to do something cool?
Well, I don't know if the bros would be down, but there is a haunted hayride. It's meant to be scary, but it's a hayride.
Okay, what if you take a teenager with you and he's like, "This sucks. I want to go back to the hotel." Was there anything that can entertain him? like on his phone constantly?
His iPhone. Yeah, I think that would be.
This whole thing sucks. I'm going to go cut. Is there anything?
I think you could take him to the Jack-o'-lantern festival and he could cut some pumpkins.
I didn't think you'd like it anyway, but here it is. Anyway, go.
Okay,
Sorry.
so the Horseman's Hollow. This is Sleepy Hollow's premier haunted attraction.
Sleeper Shavens.
Yes, the Slopper Shaven.
Shomer Shabbos.
Slopper. Shomer.
Shomer Shabbos. Go ahead.
Let's see. This attraction takes the legend of Sleepy Hollow to its darkest extremes. It's supposed to be terrifying.
I'm so scared. Don't talk about it anymore.
It's a haunted house.
Is it like a real haunted house or like a?
It's like a jump scare haunted house.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then
Is it open year round? I'm sorry.
No, all of this stuff is basically
You've
open.
got
in
the
month of October.
scariest town in America. You need to be scary 24/7, 365.
Right. I agree with you 100%. The waitress serving pancakes down at the Waffle Hut needs to have the vampire teeth in 24/7.
And bite marks or something that makes you go, why are we here? You know? I mean, you built a community on a legend.
Agreed. And I would tend to think if I were in that town, I would be pushing for the 24/7 scare the shit out of you experience.
Like everything, I wouldn't be opposed if I lived there. Everything you ask me about, I'd be like, oh, you don't want to go there. Like, I just asked for where the shitter was. Oh, you don't.
It's haunted. It's haunted.
Nobody goes in there and comes out the same. Well, most people, when they go to the bathroom, they don't come out the same. But, oh, no, this is different. Something changes in there.
Have like a transmitter with a speaker in the bathroom, so when somebody goes into the bathroom, it's like,
You don't belong here.
Get out. Like the McDonald's is haunted. Like, there wouldn't be a place that you wouldn't go that I wouldn't tell you. I wouldn't go there after dark if I was you. But
I agree with you 100%. So I think somebody who kind of believes in the same vein as you and I runs this particular facility.
yeah,
Jay Gould's House of Curiosities.
that sounds like something I would be interested in. And I think, that's up our alley right there.
A little bit. So it's a store / museum.
Mm-hmm.
They focus on the strange and scary and weird.
We're like mermaid skeletons, crap like that.
Right.
Cool.
Mermaid skeletons.
Well, I mean,
It's possible. So there's also the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery tours and events.
Mm-hmm.
We touched on it a little bit, but they have activities that go all over the town and cover the scariest places. They talk about the residents of the town, the history of the town, the scary places, the scary stories. It's again a touristy thing to do, but it's only in the month of October and on specific days. So you're definitely going to have to hit the website.
So basically, it's like my girl being on a period. It's not all the time, right? It's only you can only do scary stuff part of the time. It's like a waste of time any other day, right? Sorry.
All right. Okay, so the big deal for them, I guess, seems to be
Go ahead.
the Sleepy Hollow Festival of Witches.
What's up, witches? What's up, witches?
It's basically 4 events in October. The Black Hat Society Tea Party, the Spirit Circle Seance, the Psychic Fair and New Age Bazaar,
Jiminy Christmas.
and the Sleepy Hollow Witches Ball. All of those events comprise the Sleepy Hollow Festival of Witches.
Cool.
Now, I have been to a psychic fair in the past.
You have? What was your quest?
There was no quest. When I was in college, I worked at a hotel. And actually, every year, they had this New Age fair.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was called the Psychic Fair. And it was horrible.
What was the name of that bookstore up there by Quell Springs Mall? You know what I'm talking about.
I do, and I can't remember the name. It's still there.
Is it?
Yes.
That was like when I was in school, I went to a private school, and people would talk about that store. And it'd be like when you went to Quell Springs Mall, you're like, you just drive as far away. There wasn't a car. You couldn't find a car from like 100 yards either way. What? Oh, it was, in my mind, I'm saying Eastern Treasures. It had that same kind of ring to it.
Right.
Oh, God, it's something psychic, New Age.
I really do. I hate the fact that I don't remember it anymore.
Because that makes me think because that's right up that alley there.
It is, and that's basically what it was. The psychic fair is basically that store, but spread out into 35 booths. With 35 different people trying to sell you.
And it's like 600 crystal balls. I mean, there's a lot of crystal balls when you go to the psychic fair. Hey, honey, let's go get our balls read. Huh? No, honey, we're going to go read the crystal ball. Yeah, let's get our balls read, honey. Have you ever had your balls read?
No, I did have my palm read, though.
Did you? And what did it
Yes.
say? You jack off to it? No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that.
I don't remember. I'm sure that I'm well past the point where I should be rich and powerful, though.
Or dead.
Dead.
Yeah.
They normally don't go with the dead, though.
They don't?
No, that's
in the movie. They do that in the movies a lot. You're like, ooh, your lifeline. Ooh.
right. I'm going to have to give you a refund because you're not going to make it till lunch. So,
right.
Here's your cash back.
Here's a freebie. You're going to need treatment.
To enjoy every second that you have left, which is like seconds. But normally it's, you're going to be rich. You're going to be the next Selena Gomez or whatever.
Ooh, I can tell by your palm you're a hard worker. Yes.
There's a lot of calluses on this
hand. How did she know this? But anyway, so the psychic fair is a big deal.
The psychic fair is a big deal. At the actual witches' ball, they have a techno DJ, which I didn't realize that witches were big into techno, but they do have that.
Yeah.
They have a costume contest, that sort of thing.
How do you determine the winner? I mean, a witch is a witch is a witch is a witch, right?
Yeah, but I don't think you have to go as a witch. I think just because it's called the Witch's Ball, I think it's just a Halloween event.
Okay, but to me, I think it's best dressed witch.
Or most convincing costume.
I don't think a witch that dresses up in a chicken suit's going to win.
If it's the most convincing chicken costume.
I know, but I think you have to, I don't know, the most traditional witch. The most...
biggest wart. Fanciest broom.
Nicest witch cleavage.
I mean, most current witch could have a Swiffer.
A Swiffer witch.
Yeah.
She rides on a Swiffer. Or she has a...
Dyson.
A Dyson.
Yeah. Much more effective.
Or she segues. She just segues around. Have you seen those? They're like a Segway, but they're not. It's just you stand on it, it's got wheels on it.
Uh-huh. That was the original thought for the Segway, by the way.
You can buy one of those for like $400.
Yeah, because they're made in China.
Yeah. I think you can get one at the Old Paris Flea Market.
That's scary.
It is. It is scary.
The Old Paris Flea Market is what I was talking about.
Oh.
That's scary.
It is scary.
We need to do a show about the Old Paris Flea Market.
How the enchanted witches and all the black magic in the tire rims in a baseball cap that you can buy at the Old Paris Flea Market. No, but so Sleepy Hollow sounds like it's a bustling community.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. There seems to be a lot going on. It's right up our alley. It's definitely on the list. We're going to have to do the whole eastern seaboard, though, because I think the whole place is haunted.
You got to do Salem.
Salem, Massachusetts, which will be an episode of this show.
You got to do Hell's Kitchen.
Is that a real place?
Yeah. New York.
Yeah, I know it's supposed to be in New York, but I didn't think that it was, like, legitimately a real place.
It is.
Like, there are signs.
It says
Welcome to Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah. I don't know. Is
Hope
it
you
real
brought
place?
your spatula.
Yeah, your spatula.
Oh, spatula.
Spatula. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm so excited about the Headless Horseman. I'm going to go home and watch Johnny Depp's. You know, they have a new TV show. Well, it's not new. It's been out for a few seasons, but it's like Sleepy Hollow meets CSI.
Oh, yeah. It's called Sleepy Hollow.
Called Sleepy Hollow. Mm-hmm.
You haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't either.
I'm not convinced.
I'm not convinced. I ain't convinced the story ain't true, boy, I'll tell you. You know, if it was here, it'd be a damn true story. You couldn't convince anybody that it's just a story. I guarantee I saw him coming down old Highway 22. No, you didn't. It's a story.
At least the people of Sleepy Hollow haven't tried to pull that one yet.
Yes.
Like,
admittedly, you know, it's a legend a story written by Washington Irving. We know that there are people there that the story has been based on. This is in closing. We know that they've done a lot in the way of promoting themselves in and around the story, and they just do it sounds like they do just overall just creepy stuff. So
yeah, I agree. It seems like a good place to go
to visit.
It's a nice place to visit. We should go, Harold. We should visit and go see Ichabod's Crane and the Headless Horseman.
All right, so this has been our
Halloween premiere,
the actual physical premiere Travel Oddities
premiere, the beginning,
and it's Halloween. And I think that's it.
There's candy.
And
we're celebrating Halloween, bitches. We're not changing it to fall fantastico or whatever, the fall festival of pumpkins. Pumpkin Festival. Yeah. Yeah, this has been Travel Oddities. I'm Brett Manzer.
And I'm Harley the Horseman Covington.
And heads will roll. It's All Hallows Eve. See you next week.